Hey, 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 hey. Yeah, this episode's a bit intense. So if you're not a fan of gore or blood or violence, that bunch, I wouldn't really suggest watching this. But nevertheless, hope you enjoy this episode. Hi, you ready? Ruen.Allis here, back again with another episode of the Curse of Strahd story to be continued. Yes, yet another episode, and I have to suggest, if you don't remember or you have not seen the earlier episodes, I should suggest you doing it. But nevertheless, we will recap what happened last. So basically what happened is the gang destroyed a horde of zombies, Dominic shooting them explosive goodness arrows, Zoroth coming in and trying to shoot off them mad fire magic, but ending up just blowing a zombie's head in with a pebble. And of course, Sabis helping out the team by making sure that the zombies don't come back to life and burning their undead flesh with undead magic. And after their zombie slaying adventure, they ended up finding a note on some dead guy that was half buried, saying that it was the mayor, whose daughter is gonna get that good old vampiritis, and he needs help from any adventurer who is willing to help him. And of course, on their way to Ravenloft, they ended up crossing the always fun and always, well, mostly dangerous Cursed River, which Dominic, poor little Dominic, she just had to look down and then almost get pulled into the water, freaking die. No, he was all good, because Dominic is a warrior. Yay! But of course, on the other hand, Zoroth, doing the only logical thing possible, helps Sabis out by picking him up and yeeting him over the river with such grace and such power. It was incredible. And after, when Zoroth was trying to go through, of course, he saw Dominic freaking out and about to be pulled into the death curse water. Zoroth had to help the very shooketh Dominic out, because, we can't leave one of our party members behind, because that would be rude. And just when I thought the shooketh was over, of course, Sabis, as he was walking, looked over to what seemed to be empty gallows, was in fact the entire party all hanging. Yeah. So Sabis was shooketh to the core. Of course, it was just an illusion, but it still shook. And unfortunately, on their way to Ravenloft, they had to help out a very close to death and a very much in pain werewolf, which Zoroth had to take up the responsibility of picking up one of Dominic's magical daggers. Story coming out soon. I will talk about that. And ending the werewolf's life. Yeah, it was sad. But after all that shenanigans, the party continues forward on their way to the town of Ravenloft. So after what seemed to be hours of walking, the party eventually reaches the entrance to the before-mentioned city of Ravenloft, or town of Ravenloft, whatever one suits your fancy. The entrance was very old, like extremely old, covered in vines, and was very time-worn. It was then the party was stopped by an old man, a local of the town, begging them to help him out. Upon further explanation, they found out that the man was running away from his home due to the fact that a monster has came in and slaughtered his wife and child, and they required their assistance to get rid of it. Of course, Dominic was like, "Oh, I don't know, I'm pretty tired," and Zara is just like, "No, that ain't happening, nah." And then Sabis is just like, "No, guys, come on, we gotta do this." But of course, in the end, they actually do help the old man. So yeah. So with Sabis light whining, they proceeded to follow the old man back to his home. A very, very old home. When they opened the door to the home, it was mainly Zoroth and Sabis that decided to enter, Dominic going back into town to search for an inn or anything for them to rest. When they entered the home, it reeked of the stench of blood and, well, mainly blood. The house very old and very dusty. Ornate pictures and candles literally littering the home as they heard muttering and such under the floorboards underneath them. And from further investigation, they found a cellar. Upon further investigating, Zoroth at first tried to fireball the entire basement to try to eliminate the threat, but it didn't work, as if some magical force field was preventing him from doing so. And when they got there, they saw a very grotesque sight. That being of this distorted creature huddling over 3 bodies. A bloody dagger in hand, and him demonically muttering to himself. It's obviously no longer being human, but instead this weird nightmare creature with antlers? Question mark? I don't remember. But as soon as they entered the cellar, the monstrous nightmare creature quickly turned its head, dagger still in its grasp, cleaned it off, and rushed at them, mercilessly swinging its dagger with the full intent to kill, it seeming to lose all its sanity, if it even had some in the first place. Its eyes large and white, no humanity left back in it, no mercy, just the intent to kill. After merciless swings and blows, it eventually stabbed Sabis, lodging its dagger deep into his shoulder, causing him intense pain he's never felt before, pain pretty much out of this world. As Zoroth got mad, he decided to rush him. He rushed him and pinned him to the ground, ripping off its nightmarish, long-fingered arm, and decided to, oh god, no kidding, I was as shocked by this action as you were. Zoroth decided to rip off the nightmare creature's arms, and I am not kidding you, beat the creature to death with its own arms. What the hell, Zoroth? That is just beyond crazy and really nightmare-inducing. But you see, that wasn't the problem. After a few minutes of mercilessly beating the creature down, it eventually died, or was very close to death. Zoroth stared at it in its eyes as it slowly reformed back into that of a child. It's looking up at Zoroth. Now Zoroth saw what he was beating to a pulp. Nothing more than a small child. He didn't know what to feel about himself. Killing a kid so mercilessly. Of course, he was transformed, but to know that he was doing this to a kid was just wrong and very upsetting to the entire party. Of course, Sabis and Dominic never knew of what the creature was, or at least what it used to be. Dominic quickly rushing to Sabis' aid as he was dropped outside of the house to be healed up by Dominic, because he is a good boy. And Zoroth did not mention of the creature. He simply just stated that he killed him. No further questions were asked as they rushed back to this town of Ravenloft, hopefully to find a tavern and rest up. Zoroth forever having 2 deaths in his hand ever since he entered this film. Yeah, so I warned you guys that this episode was going to be a bit messed up and bloody, but hey, what can you expect from the monster that is Strahd? Anyways, unfortunately, I have to tell you all that this series will be on a halt for quite a while because we haven't even finished the campaign yet. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this so far. So, but nevertheless, if you guys enjoyed this episode, then you know what to do. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.